Good morning to you all and welcome to today's teaching. So Revelation chapter 4 is very short, so that's why I'm doing that this morning. And then in the evening, we will do chapter 5. So I'm thinking of doing morning and evening now, so we can wrap it up and then have time to absorb all the teachings. So that when we come back and start our community, it will be very interactive. At least when we open a chapter, once you see the symbols, you should be able to tell what it means. So I will try my best for us to wrap up Revelation this month. Okay. So we are doing chapter 4 this morning. And we've completed the journey through the 7 churches. A journey that revealed every state within us. From disconnection to pressure, to compromise, to influence, to illusion, to alignment, and to the subtle comfort of neutrality. Each one was not just a message. It was a mirror, a reflection of how awareness moves, how we grow, how we drift, and how we return. And now, everything shifts. Because up until this point, we have been looking within the states, observing patterns, recognizing conditions, and becoming aware of where we are. But in chapter 4, we are no longer just looking at the states. We are lifted above them. This is where the perspective changes. No longer reacting within the experience or identifying with each state, but seeing from a higher awareness. This is the throne room, not a physical place, but a state of consciousness. Jesus said, the kingdom of God or heaven is within you. So if the kingdom is within you, then where is the throne? Within you. So the throne room is not a physical place, but a state of consciousness. A place where everything becomes clear. Everything is seen as it is, and nothing is confusing anymore. This is where you move from experiencing life to understanding it from above. From being in the process to seeing the process. And what you are about to encounter is not meant to be taken literally, but recognized symbolically, internally, and deeply. Because the throne, the elders, the living creatures, the lightning, the sea of glass are not external visions. They are expressions of awareness. So as we enter chapter 4, don't just read, observe. Don't just imagine, recognize. Because what you are about to see is not somewhere else. It is a higher way of seeing within you. Let's begin. Revelation 4 verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was, as it were, of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. After this I looked, meaning after seeing all the previous states, after recognizing patterns, understanding the journey, and becoming aware of yourself. Now you begin to see differently. This is not random timing. This comes after awareness. Next line. And behold, a door was open. This is access or entry. A new level of perception becomes available. Not something you force, something that opens. This is key. Clarity opens access. In heaven, if Jesus said the kingdom of God or heaven is within you, so where is this happening? Within consciousness. This is higher realm. Heaven equals higher awareness. So this becomes a door into higher understanding has opened within you. Not external, internal elevation. And the first voice which I heard, the same awareness that has been guiding you continues to speak. This is not a new voice. The same truth now heard at a higher level. As it were of a trumpet. This is loud, clear, and attention-grabbing. This is unmistakable clarity. Not subtle like before, but clear, direct, and awakening. This is something you cannot ignore. Next, talking with me. This is personal, not distant, directly experienced within you. Which said, come up hither, meaning come up, rise higher. This is the invitation. Rise above your current level of perception. Not physically, consciously. It's saying, move from reacting to observing, from confusion to clarity, from being in it to seeing it. Elevate your awareness. And I will show thee things you are about to see differently. Not new information, new perspective, which must be hereafter. What comes next? What follows? What unfolds from this higher awareness? This is not about future events in time. It is about what becomes visible when you see from above. What this verse is really saying, after becoming aware of your internal states, a new level of perception opens within you, inviting you to rise into higher awareness, where you begin to see life from a clearer, elevated perspective that reveals deeper understanding. Relationship example. Before, there's reacting, it's emotional. Now, you step back and see clearly. You don't just feel it, you understand it. In career, before, there was confusion and uncertainty. Now, you see direction, not forced, clear from a higher view. The self. Before, you were identifying with every thought. Now you observe yourself. You see the patterns, reactions, and behaviors from above. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals awareness opens new levels, not gradually forced, naturally revealed, and growth is elevation. Not adding more, but seeing from higher. You move from participant to observer, not lost in the experience, but understanding it. There is a moment after you've seen enough, after you've recognized your patterns, after you become aware of where you are, where something within you shifts, a door opens, not outside, but within. And in that moment, you are no longer just living through experiences. You begin to see them from a higher place, from a clearer perspective, from a space that is not overwhelmed, but aware. And the invitation is simple. Come up, not to escape, but to see. Because once you rise, everything looks different. Now we step fully into the throne room. This is where awareness is no longer just rising. It becomes established. Verse 2. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And immediately, it means this shift happens instantly, not gradually. The moment awareness rises, perspective changes. You don't slowly enter clarity, you recognize it. I was in the spirit. This is a spiritual state, a higher realm. Spirit equals higher awareness. So this becomes, you are now seeing from awareness, not reacting from experience. Before, you were inside thoughts, inside emotions. Now, you are observing from above them. And behold, meaning pay attention. This is foundational. Everything that follows builds from this moment. Next, a throne was set in heaven. Throne equals authority. Heaven equals higher realm. There is a center of authority within higher awareness. Set means established, not moving. So this becomes, there is a stable point of awareness within you, not shifting, not reactive. And one sat on the throne. This is one seated, one governing. There is a governing awareness within you, not multiple voices, one clarity. This represents truth, ultimate awareness, and stable perception. What this verse is really saying, as your awareness rises, you enter a state where you are no longer reacting from within experience, but observing from a higher perspective, recognizing a stable center of clarity within you that governs how you see and respond to everything. Relationship example. Before, you were reacting emotionally. Now, you observe before responding. You are not pulled by every feeling. You remain centered. Career example. Before, there was uncertainty. You were reacting to pressure. Now, you move from clarity. Decisions are grounded and intentional. The self. Before, you identified with thoughts. Now, you observe them. You see patterns. You recognize reactions without being controlled by them. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals higher awareness has a center, not chaotic, stable, and clarity governs from that center, not emotions, awareness. You move from reaction to observation, not inside everything, but seeing everything. There is a moment when you rise above the noise, above the thoughts, above the reactions, and for the first time, you are not caught in it, you are aware of it. And in that awareness, you discover something still, steady, and moved. A place within you that is not reacting, that is not shifting, that simply sees. And from that place, you begin to understand that clarity was never something you had to create. It was something you had to recognize. Verse 3. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. And he that sat. This is the governing awareness within you, not a figure outside of you, the center of clarity. Was to look upon like a jasper. Jasper is a clear, radiant stone. It represents clear perception, nothing hidden, nothing distorted. This is seeing things exactly as they are. And a sardine stone. This is a deep red stone. Sardine is depth of experience. So if jasper is clarity, together, this is clear and deeply alive. Not cold awareness, living awareness. And there was a rainbow round about the throne. A rainbow represents all aspects, all perspectives, nothing excluded. So this becomes awareness that sees everything without fragmentation, not divided, integrated. Insight like unto an emerald. Emerald represents stability, renewal, and calm clarity. So this becomes a balanced awareness that is alive, yet peaceful. What this verse is really saying, the awareness that governs within you is clear and transparent, deeply alive and present, surrounded by a complete and balanced understanding that sees all aspects without distortion, creating a state of harmony and stable clarity. Give me a minute, please. All right, let's continue. Relationship example. You no longer see only your perspective. You see the full picture. Your side, their side, the deeper dynamic with clarity and balance. Career example. You no longer react to surface problems. You see the full system, patterns, connections, and direction clearly. The self. You no longer see yourself in fragments. You see your whole self, your strengths, patterns, and growth without distortion. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals true awareness is clear, not clouded, transparent, and it is alive, not detached, fully present. And it sees the whole, not partial, complete. And it is balanced, not chaotic, stable. There is a way of seeing that is not clouded, not reactive, not fragmented, where you don't just see parts, you see the whole. Where you don't just understand, you feel deeply and clearly. Where nothing is hidden, nothing is distorted, everything is as it is. And in that seeing, there is no confusion, only clarity. A clarity that is not cold, but alive. A clarity that is not rigid, but balanced. And from that place, you begin to understand that awareness is not something you use, it is something you become. Verse 4. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. Round about the throne, meaning everything is centered around awareness. The throne remains the center, the source, the governing clarity. And now we see what exists around that clarity. Were 24 seats. Numbers here are symbolic. 24 represents completeness in structure and order. So this becomes a fully structured system of awareness, not chaotic, ordered and established. And upon the seat, I saw 24 elders sitting. Elders equals mature, experienced. This represents mature aspects of awareness, not immature reactions, but refined understanding. Elders represent wisdom, stability, and experience. So this becomes different dimensions of wisdom within you. Next, clothed in white raiment. White equals clarity, purity, and alignment. So this means these aspects of awareness are clear and not distorted. No confusion, aligned perception. And they had on their heads crowns of gold. Crowns equals authority. Gold equals refined value. These are established forms of authority within awareness. Gold represents what has been tested, what is real. So this becomes wisdom that has been refined through experience, not theory, lived understanding. What this verse is really saying, around the center of awareness exists a complete and ordered structure of mature, refined understanding. Different aspects of wisdom within you that are clear, stable, and carry authority developed through experience. Relationship example. You don't just react from one emotion. You draw from mature understanding, from patience, discernment, and clarity. Career example. You don't act from impulse. You act from developed insight, from experience, pattern recognition, and stability. The self. You don't see yourself in one dimension. You recognize multiple layers of awareness within you, each one refined, clear, and stable. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals awareness is structured, not random, organized, and wisdom develops over time, not instant, refined. And authority comes from experience, not knowledge alone, lived understanding. There is a depth within you that goes beyond reaction, beyond surface understanding, beyond momentary clarity, a depth that has been formed through every experience, every realization, and every moment of awareness. And as you begin to see from this higher place, you don't just see one perspective, you draw from many, from wisdom, from clarity, from understanding that has been shaped over time. And in that space, you are no longer learning in fragments, you are seeing from wholeness. Verse 5. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And out of the throne, meaning everything flows from the center of awareness. The throne is not passive, it expresses. So this becomes what you see outwardly comes from your inner awareness. Next line, proceeded lightnings. These are flashes and sudden bursts, sudden insight. These are moments where things click instantly. Clarity appears quickly. This is revelation, not gradual, immediate understanding. And thunderings, meaning deep sound, powerful impact, deep realization, not just a quick thought, something that shakes you internally, something undeniable, powerful, and grounding. You feel it. And voices, meaning communication or expression. This is ongoing understanding, internal dialogue, interpretation, and awareness speaking. This is clarity expressed within you. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne. Lamps equals light. Fire equals energy. This is constant awareness, not temporary, always present. Fire represents intensity, life, presence. Lamps represent illumination. So this becomes a steady living awareness illuminating everything. Which are the 7 spirits of God? 7 equals completeness. So this becomes full, complete awareness. Nothing missing. All aspects of perception active. What this verse is really saying, from the center of awareness flows both sudden insight and deep realization, along with ongoing clarity, supported by a constant and complete illumination that reveals everything fully and continuously. Relationship example. You experience sudden realizations. I see what's happening. And deep moment. This changes everything. And ongoing clear understanding. In career, you have quick insights and strong realizations and a steady sense of clarity guiding decisions. The self. You experience flashes of awareness and deep inner shifts and a constant sense of knowing. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals awareness is active, not still, expressive, and clarity comes in different forms. It's sudden lightning, deep thunder, and continuous voices, and illumination is constant. Not temporary, always present. There is a movement within awareness, not always loud, but always present. Moments where something suddenly becomes clear, like a flash. Moments where something settles deeply within you, like a sound that cannot be ignored. And in between those moments, a quiet voice, steady, guiding, revealing, and beneath it all, a light that never turns off, that continues to illuminate everything, even when you are not paying attention. And the more you become aware of it, the more you realize that clarity was never absent. It was always present within you. Verse 6. And before the throne, there was a sea of glass like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were four living creatures, full of eyes before and behind. And before the throne, this is directly in front of awareness. This is what you encounter when you are fully present. There was a sea of glass. This is calm water and still surface, complete stillness. A sea usually represents movement, waves, or emotion. But here it is glass, meaning no disturbance, no reaction. Like unto crystal, this is clear and transparent, clarity without distortion. Not only still, completely clear. Nothing hidden, nothing confusing. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne, at the center and surrounding awareness. This is not distant. This is integral to awareness itself. We're four living creatures. These are fundamental aspects of living awareness. Four represents foundation, completeness in structure. So this becomes core expressions of awareness. Not separate, essential. Full of eyes before and behind. This is seeing in all directions. Nothing hidden. This is total awareness. Seeing what is ahead and what is behind. Meaning, you are aware of patterns, causes, and outcomes. Not limited, fully seeing. What this verse is really saying, in the presence of higher awareness, there is complete stillness and clarity, along with a foundational level of awareness that sees fully the past, present, and patterns without distortion or limitation. Relationship example. You are no longer reactive or emotional turbulent. You become still and clear, and you see patterns, behaviors, and dynamics fully. In career, you are no longer overwhelmed or scattered. You become calm and focused, and you see systems, consequences, and direction clearly. The self. You are no longer lost in thoughts or confused. You become still within yourself, and you see your patterns, your growth, and your reactions without distortion. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals true awareness is still, not chaotic, calm, and it is clear, not distorted, transparent, and it sees fully, not partially, completely. And it is alive, not passive, active awareness. There is a place within you where everything becomes quiet, not because life has stopped, but because you are no longer reacting to it. A place where the waves settle, and what once felt overwhelming becomes still. And in that stillness, something becomes visible, not partially, but fully. You begin to see patterns, connections, and truth without distortion, without confusion, without noise. And in that space, you realize that clarity was never created. It was revealed when everything else became still. Verse 7. And the first living creature was like a lion, and the second living creature like a calf. And the third living creature had a face as a man, and the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. The first living creature was like a lion. Lion symbolizes strength, boldness, and authority, the courage of awareness. This represents confidence, decisiveness, and the ability to stand firm, not fear-driven, clear and bold. The second living creature like a calf. Calf symbolizes service, patience, and endurance. This is the discipline of awareness. This represents consistency, humility, and the willingness to do the work, not rushing, steady, and grounded. The third living creature had a face as a man. Man symbolizes intelligence, understanding, and self-awareness. This is the consciousness of awareness. This represents reflection, reasoning, and self-recognition, not unconscious, aware of itself. The fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. Eagle symbolizes vision, elevation, and perspective, the higher vision of awareness. This represents seeing from above, clarity of direction, and expanded perception, not limited, elevated. What these four represent together: lion represents courage and authority. Calf represents discipline and consistency. Man represents awareness and understanding. Eagle represents vision and perspective. The unified meaning: balanced awareness expresses itself through courage, consistency, understanding, and elevated vision, not one without the others, all working together. What this verse is really saying: at the foundation of higher awareness are four essential expressions: courage to act, discipline to remain steady, understanding to perceive clearly, and vision to see beyond the immediate, forming a complete and balanced state of consciousness. Relationship example: you need courage to set boundaries, discipline to stay consistent, awareness to understand dynamics, and vision to see the bigger picture. In career, you need courage to take action, discipline to stay committed, understanding to make decisions, and vision to see direction. The self. You embody confidence, consistency, self-awareness, and higher perspective. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals awareness is multidimensional, not just thinking, but expressing in different ways. Balance is required, not just courage or vision, all aspects together. And growth requires integration, not one trait, a complete expression. Within you, there is strength, the ability to stand firm. There is discipline, the ability to remain steady. There is awareness, the ability to see yourself clearly. And there is vision, the ability to rise above and see beyond. And when all of these come together, you are no longer reacting, drifting, or uncertain. You are complete in your awareness, not lacking in one area, but balanced in all. Because true clarity is not one-dimensional, it is whole. Verse 8. And the four living creatures had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, holy, holy Lord God Almighty, which was, and is to come. 6 wings about him. In some context, the number 6 can represent incompletion, like before the 7th day. But here is the key. We are no longer in a state of process. We are in the throne room, a state of established awareness. So in this context, the number 6 does not represent lack. 6 wings represent the full expression and movement of awareness. Wings symbolize movement, elevation, and responsiveness. So this becomes awareness that is fully active, able to move, respond, and elevate in every direction. Not incomplete, fully functional, fully expressive. Full of eyes within. This is complete self-awareness. Not just seen externally, but seen internally. Seeing thoughts, motives, and patterns. Nothing hidden within you. They rest not day and night. Awareness is continuous. Not something that turns on and off. Always present. Day and night represent conscious and unconscious. So this becomes awareness exists in all states. Holy, holy, holy. Complete alignment. Not partial, fully aligned with truth. The repetition shows total confirmation and completeness. Lord God Almighty. Lord represents governing authority. God represents truth or ultimate reality. Almighty is all-encompassing. So this becomes awareness recognizing truth as the ultimate governing reality, which was and is to come. This is timeless awareness, seeing the past, present, and unfolding patterns beyond time limitation. What this verse is saying, at the highest level of awareness, there is a continuous, fully active, and self-aware presence that is able to move and respond in every direction, remaining completely aligned with truth, and seeing all things across time without distortion. There is a level of awareness where nothing within you is inactive. Nothing is asleep. Nothing is missing, but everything is alive, moving, responding, seeing, not partially, but fully. Where you are not switching in and out of clarity, you are established in it. Where you don't just write occasionally, you have the ability to move freely in awareness. And in that space, you begin to understand that nothing in you is lacking. Nothing is incomplete. Everything is functioning exactly as it was meant to. Verse 9. And when those living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever. And when those living creatures, these core expressions of awareness begin to respond. Not passive, active recognition. Everything within you that is aware acknowledges something deeper. Give glory, to honor, to recognize. This is recognition of truth. Not adding anything, seeing clearly what is already true. Glory here means awareness recognizing the source of clarity. And honor, this is respect and value. Valuing truth above everything else. Not ego, not opinion or reaction. Truth becomes central. And thanks, this is gratitude. Gratitude for awareness itself. You begin to see clarity is not something to resist. Awareness is not something to avoid. It is something to appreciate. To him that sat on the throne, to the center of awareness within you. Not external, the governing clarity. Everything, recognition, honor, and gratitude returns to that center. Who liveth forever and ever. This is eternal, continuous. Awareness is constant, not temporary, always present. Even when you are distracted, when you are unaware, it remains. What this verse is really saying, when awareness becomes fully active within you, it naturally recognizes, values, and appreciates the deeper truth that governs your perception, acknowledging that this clarity is constant and always present. Relationship example. You stop reacting blindly. You begin to recognize truth in the situation and respond with clarity and understanding. In career, you stop acting from confusion. You begin to value clarity in decision making. The self. You stop resisting awareness. You begin to appreciate it, even when it corrects you and reveals things. You recognize its value. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals true awareness responds with recognition, not denial, acknowledgement. And truth becomes valued, not ignored, honored. And gratitude naturally follows clarity because you see the benefit of awareness. There is a moment when awareness is no longer something you resist, no longer something you question, no longer something you avoid, but something you recognize. You begin to see that every moment of clarity, every realization, every correction was not against you. It was guiding you. And in that realization, something shifts. You no longer push against truth. You honor it. You no longer resist awareness. You appreciate it. Because you now understand that what sits at the center of your awareness has always been leading you into clarity. Verse 10. The 24 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne, and worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, the 24 elders. These are the mature, refined aspects of awareness. Your wisdom, experience, and understanding. Everything you have developed. Fall down before him that sat on the throne, meaning bow down, submit. This is recognition of a higher center. Even your highest understanding acknowledges something deeper, not humiliation, alignment. And worship him. This is to give honor, to give full attention. This is total alignment with truth, not divided, fully centered. Your awareness recognizes, aligns, and centers itself on truth. That liveth forever and ever. Awareness is constant, not temporary, always present. Your wisdom begins to see. Truth is not something you created. And cast their crowns before the throne. Crowns equals authority. Cast equals lay down. This is the most powerful part. This is letting go of personal ownership of understanding. The elders represent everything you've learned, everything you've mastered. The crowns represent your sense of I know or I have achieved. And casting them down means you no longer hold on to identity through knowledge. Not I figured it out. Not this is my understanding, but recognition that all clarity comes from the source of awareness. What this verse is really saying, all the wisdom and understanding you have developed eventually recognizes a deeper source of truth, leading you to release attachment to personal identity and fully align with the awareness that governs everything. Relationship example. You move from I'm right to let me see clearly. You release ego-based identity. In career, you move from this is my success to let me stay aligned with clarity. The self. You move from identifying with what you know to resting in awareness itself. The hidden pattern. This verse reveals true wisdom becomes humble, not prideful, grounded. And identity shifts from I know to I see through awareness. And authority is surrendered, not lost, returned to its source. There is a moment when everything you have learned, everything you have understood, everything you have built within yourself comes to a quiet realization that it was never truly yours, not in ownership, but in expression. That the clarity you carry, the wisdom you have gained, the understanding you have developed came from something deeper. And in that moment, you don't lose anything. You release the need to hold on to it. You no longer define yourself by what you know. You rest in the awareness that reveals it. And in that rest, there is no pride, no struggle, only alignment. Verse 11. Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power. For thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. Thou art worthy. This is full recognition of truth as the highest reality. Not partial, complete acknowledgement. Nothing competes with it. Nothing stands above it. To receive glory and honor and power. Glory is recognition. Honor is value. Power is authority. Everything returns to the source of awareness. Recognition, glory, value, honor, authority, power are no longer placed on ego, identity, or external things, but on truth itself. For thou hast created all things, meaning the source of everything. All perception comes from awareness. Everything you experience, your thoughts, emotions, and interpretations arises within awareness. So this becomes awareness is the foundation of all experience. And for thy pleasure, meaning purpose and intention, this is subtle and powerful. Everything exists within awareness for expression, not random, part of a greater unfolding. They are and were created, meaning existence across time. All experience exists within awareness, past and present. Nothing outside of it. Everything is within the field of awareness. What this verse is really saying, you come to recognize that awareness itself is the source of all experience, and everything you perceive exists within it, leading you to fully acknowledge truth as the ultimate foundation and authority of your life. The full meaning of the throne room. Let's step back for a moment. Chapter 4 was not a place. It was a perspective. You moved from observing states in chapters 2 to 3 to seeing from awareness itself, chapter 4. And now you see awareness is stable, throne. Awareness is clear, stones. Awareness is structured, the elders. Awareness is active, lightning and voices. Awareness is still, sea of glass. Awareness is fully expressed, living creatures. Awareness is recognized, worship. And finally, awareness is the source of all experience. There is a realization that comes after you've seen everything, after you've observed, after you've understood, after you've released the need to hold onto identity. And that realization is this, that everything you have ever experienced, every thought, every emotion, every moment has existed within awareness, not outside of it, but within it. And in that realization, you no longer search for truth. You no longer try to control experience. You no longer define yourself by what you know. You rest in the source, because what you were seeking was never separate from you. It was the awareness through which you were seen all along. Revelation chapter 4 is complete. The throne room decoded. I will see you tonight in the next teaching. Enjoy the rest of your day.